What's going on, guys? Welcome back to our channel, and today I'm going to be doing the long-awaited Generaider deck profile, and I have been so excited to profile this deck, so let's get right into it. Anyways, so I'd like to first off thank all the people who have been watching our videos and subscribing, leaving comments. That's super awesome of you guys. I can't wait until we get some more people to follow, subscribe, like our channel. It's so amazing to see a community grow from nothing to a little bit of something. So thank you guys, and keep it up. All right. Anyways, let's get into that deck profile. So first off, I play 3 Loptr Shadow of the Generaider bosses. This guy is definitely one of the best cards in the deck. He starts plays. He allows you to summon Generaider bosses. He gives Generaider boss monsters 1000 attack and defense, including himself, because he is a Generaider boss monster. Yeah, he's just amazing. He has a quick effect where he can tribute off 1 Generaider monster to special summon a level 9 Generaider monster from the deck with a different name. So he could tribute himself, he could tribute a token, he could tribute another Generaider monster that's level 9. He is just amazing. He's awesome. And he came out in Etco. It's right down here. So he just came out in Tourney Code. He's really good. Definitely pick him up if you can. You're going to want to play him in this deck. Anyways, the next card I play at 3 is Condemned Witch. So Condemned Witch, she's pretty much just Loptr. She says when she's normal summoned, she can add a Forbidden Quick Play spell. Now you're like, why are you running this card? Because the Forbidden Quick Play spells are actually pretty good right now, because Utopic Zexal is a thing in the meta. So you can add that Forbidden Chalice, you could add that Forbidden Droplet when it comes out and stop that Utopic Zexal from going off, and then still make your plays. Anyways, she has a quick effect where you can tribute this card and special summon a level 4 fairy monster from your deck. Loptr is a level 4 fairy monster who starts all your plays. So you might as well just say, I summon Loptr, and then activate Loptr's effect. So anyways, Condemned Witch is pretty much Loptr, and I run her at 3. She's a bit pricey, so if you don't want to run her, you do not have to. Anyways, the next card I play at 2 is Harr, Generaider Boss's Storms. So he just came out in Netco with Loptr. You can only control one of him, but when your opponent adds cards from their deck to their hand, except outside their draw phase, they have to send a monster from their hand or field to the graveyard. Their choice. And then quick effect, you contribute 2 Generaider monsters and negate effect. Activation of an effect or card. So he is really good. He has a negate. He has a pitch from the hand or the field for your opponent. So he pretty much just does everything you want. He is probably one of the best Generaider boss monsters that's level 9. So you definitely want to see him. And Loptr can make him 4000 attack, which is pretty nasty. So the next card I play 2 of is Hela, Generaider Boss of Doom. So Hela, Generaider Boss of Doom, she's really good. She allows you to tribute off a Generaider monster and special summon 1 from the graveyard. So let's say you have some tokens on the board, you tribute off a token, you special summon Harr from the graveyard, and now you have 2 Generaider boss monsters, which is pretty disgusting. That's pretty much all she does. She just tributes off a monster and special summons 1 from the graveyard. She's really good. And it's a quick effect, so you can activate on your opponent's turn. All these monsters are quick effects, which is really, really good. So she allows you to, just play on your opponent's turn, and I like that. I like interacting with my opponent. I like my opponent to think about what they're going to do. When you're playing on the offensive all the time, it's harder for the opponent to react on the defensive because they don't know what's going through your head. So anyways, back to the video. Mardel, Generaider, Boss of Light. I play her at 1, and she's kind of expensive right now. She's around $25-30. You can only control 1 of her, and when she's normal or special summoned, you can add a Generaider card to your hand. So any Generaider card. Normally, you're going to be one adding those boss stages. So you just activate Loptr's effect, special summon her to the field, add boss stage, activate boss stage, end your turn, you know. Or if you can get a True King on the field, you would use her for a True King. But yeah, she's really good. She activates when she's summoned, either normal or special. So yeah, really good card. Next card I play at 1 is Utgarda, Generator Boss of Delusions. So Utgarda, he's there to get problematic cards off the board that I just can't reach. So like spells or traps. Like I could play Twin Twisters, but I would rather just have another target in my deck for a generator. So Utgarda, he has a quick effect where you contribute 2 generator monsters and then target a card on the field and banish it. You just banish it outright. That's really nice. Banishing cards is always good. It's sometimes really hard to get banished cards back. So Utgarda, I play him at 1. You want to see him every once in a while, and sometimes you just don't. So, cool card. Next card I play at 1 is Frodi, Generator Boss of Swords. So this guy, I don't really use him that much, but he can have his niches where he's actually pretty good. His quick effect is to tribute any number of generator monsters. So you can tribute off all your tokens and then destroy 4 cards on the field. Just destroy 4 cards on the field. But the drawback is your opponent gets to draw 4 cards, which would trigger your boss stage, but most of the time your boss stage is already triggered. So Frodi, I don't really like using him that much. Next up I play at 1 is Nidhogg, Generator Boss of Ice. So Nidhogg, Generator Boss of Ice, he pretty much says quick effect, tribute a generator monster, and stop a summon. So he stops a normal summon or a special summon. That's it. Nothing special to him. He just negates a summon, and yeah, he's pretty good. I run him at 1. Sometimes I'll play him on turn 1 and just have him sitting there, so when my opponent goes, I can just stop one of their normal or special summons, which is pretty nice. I like Nidhogg. He's pretty good. Next up, I play 1 Dovelgus, Generator Boss of Iron. So this guy, he has a quick effect where he tributes any number of generator monsters and then special summons from your hand, exactly that many. So you could tribute off 3, summon 3 from the hand, tribute off 1, summon 1 from the hand. He's just made for unbricking your hand. So if you have like a really, really bad hand, you could just tribute off a bunch of generator tokens and then summon all your generator boss monsters onto the board. I run him at 1. You don't want to always see him. You don't want to draw him. So he's pretty good. Anyways, on to generic level 9 monsters. So, generic level 9 monster I play is Knightmare Incarnation Idlee. She's a level 9 monster that says level 9 monsters cannot be destroyed by card effects. That's pretty good, first of all. And then you can use one of her effects once per turn, or each of her effects once per turn. If your opponent has 8 or more link rating on the board, or altogether you and your opponent have 8 or more link rating on the board, you can special her from the hand, and then when she's specialed, she sends all link monsters to the graveyard. Most of the time you're not going to be controlling any link monsters, so this is more to affect your opponent. Now there is a way to cheese her out of the deck, which I will show later. She's pretty nasty when she comes to the board. It's like extremely hard to remove her as well as remove your generator bosses. So I play her, and she can like really like get rid of some super stupid cards like Bora Loads and stuff like that. Anyways, I play 2 Trias Hierarchia. So don't know if I said that right. We'll just call her Trias. So I play 2 Trias. I play 2 Trias, and it has a quick effect where she can special summon herself during the main phase. By tributing 3 fairy monsters, she can special summon from the hand or the graveyard. So that is pretty good because it says during the main phase, which means your main phase or your opponent's main phase. So you could quick effect, tribute off your 3 generator tokens, special summon her from the graveyard in defense mode, and then you get to do her effect depending on how many tokens you tributed. So destroy 1 card your opponent controls or draw 2 cards. Draw 2 cards and destroy a card, that's pretty nasty for a level 9 monster that can just hit the board whenever it wants to on your opponent's turn. So yeah, she's pretty good. I like to use a combo that gets her onto the board and then links her into Calamity and then sends her to the graveyard. So when your opponent's turn comes, you have a bunch of tokens, and then you can summon her. You have her into Calamity and then a Generator boss monster, which is pretty nasty of a combo. And then you get to draw 2 cards. So, yeah. Anyways, on to the next. For hand traps, I just run Nibiru. That's it. I don't run any other hand traps. I think Nibiru is fine. I think this deck can play without the hand traps. I mean, if you want to run hand traps, you can. I just run Nibiru because sometimes you just need to remove those big-ass boards and destroy everything. So, Nibiru. He's really good. He just stops your opponent from playing for the turn if they summon too many monsters. So, on to the spells. For spells, I run 3 Generator Boss Stage. This is pretty much what the deck runs around. It's the bread and butter. So once per turn, if cards are added to the hand from the main deck, even during the draw step. So if your opponent draws a card, you get to activate this. You can special summon 1 Generator monster from your deck in defense position. If you special summon a Generator monster during your opponent's turn, you can special summon as many tokens as you want as possible in attack position, but destroy them all during the end phase. Not the boss monster, just the tokens. So you summon a Generator boss, and then you summon a crap ton of tokens for him to use for fodder for his abilities. So your opponent has to try to get over the boss and all these tokens, which is awesome. And yeah, this card is what you want to see. You want to get this card onto the board ASAP. So that's why I run it at 3. And almost every card in this deck can be summoned through boss stage, except some of the generic stuff. So, on to the next. For some quick play spells, I run Forbidden Chalices and Forbidden Dress, because the Condemned Witch can search out these cards. The reason why I run Forbidden Dress is just... You could run another Forbidden Chalice, but the reason why I run Forbidden Dress is sometimes I just want my monster to not be targeted and destroyed by card effects. So... activate Forbidden Dress, and they're like, oh, I can't destroy your monster now with the card effect that I was trying to do. And then Forbidden Chalice for those annoying Utopic Zexals that are in the meta right now. Hate that card with a passion, but that's how it is sometimes. So yeah, Forbidden Chalice, Forbidden Dress. Pretty cool cards, searchable from the deck with Condemned Witch. Next up, I play 3 Called by the Grave because this deck is susceptible to Ash. So you need to run Called by the Grave. Also, you could chain one of these cards to an Ash and chain block it. So pretty cool. So 3 Called by the Graves. This card's pretty awesome. Stops Ash. Stops other stupid cards that activate in the graveyard. So pretty cool card. Play against those Orcust. Hit that Brass Bombard or that Simple Skeleton, and they're like gonna cry. Anyways, moving on, we got 3 World Legacy Monstrosity. So this card is the card that is going to cheese out your Knightmare, Incarnation, Idlee, and your Trias of Hierarchia, or any Generator boss monster. So if you control a level 9 monster, so like, for example, let's just say we control Dovelgus in defense mode. Sorry about that, hit the camera. I activate World Legacy Monstrosity from the hand. I target Dovelgus, and it says that I can summon 2 monsters from the deck with different original type and attribute. So I could summon either 1 Trias of Hierarchia, or I could summon Incarnation Idlee and like Nidhogg. So you can just mix and match with whatever you want. You can summon Trias and Nidhogg. You could summon, Trias and Frodi. You could summon whatever you like. But it allows you to cheese out these really, really dumb monsters that normally are kind of harder to get onto the field. So, yeah. This card is definitely a mandatory card that you need. It allows you to go into True King of All Calamities as well, which we will see later. Next up, I play 1 Terraforming. So this searches out your boss stage. That's pretty much it. Just search your boss stage with Terraforming. Next up, I play 2 Kuji-Kiri Curse. This card was just released in Ignition Assault. So you send a level 9 monster from your hand or face up on the field to the graveyard, draw 2 cards. It's a trade-in for level 9 monsters. Really good. I like it. Next up, I play 2 Generator Boss Quest. You reveal a Generator monster in your hand, and if you do, add up to 2 Generator spell or trap cards with different names from the deck to the hand, and then you put that revealed monster on the bottom of the deck. So you get to get your boss stage, and you get to get some other cool Generator cards that I'll show later with this card. And yeah, this card's pretty awesome. I only run it at 2 because there are just times where like it can be a brick in the hand and you just don't want to see it later on in the game. You just want to see it early on. So yeah, you can use it to bait out cards too, which is pretty cool. Next up, I play a pretty spicy tech card, Drag Down to the Grave. So if you start off with the boss stage and you resolve this, you're gonna get a True King of all calamities. That's pretty much how it's gonna be. So you activate Drag Down, you look at your opponent's hand, and they get to look at your hand, and then you both discard a card. So you're going to want to play all your important cards and then activate Drag Down, and then you draw a card. So you discard a card from your opponent's hand, and then you just get to see their hand. Like, what's bad about seeing your opponent's hand? There's nothing bad. There's no downside to seeing your opponent's hand. I mean, yeah, they get to see your hand, but at that point, you've probably already played all your cards in your hand. So yeah, you just want to do this when you got the boss stage on the board, and you can resolve it. You can summon Harr, and then Harr's effect will activate because they added a card from their deck to the hand, and yep, you just send 2 cards from their hand to the graveyard, which is pretty nasty. Anyways, so here's the Generator cards that you could add with Boss Quest. You could add Generator Boss Fight, which I run at 2. This one says if you activate it, you can activate the field spell immediately from the deck or the graveyard. So this can get it back from the graveyard or the deck. And then your opponent has to draw a card right after. So you automatically trigger your boss stage immediately. So this card is really good. It triggers your boss stage, and it's just amazing. It gets you that field spell when you lose it. So then at 1, I run the Generator Boss Room. So this card is one of the cards I search off of Boss Quest almost every time, because when your opponent activates card effects in response to the activation of a Generator card effect, you could discard 1 card, and your opponent's activated effect becomes each player draws a card, which pretty much triggers your boss stage. Like I said, everything in this deck is going to be trying to trigger that boss stage. And then not only that, if you have Harr, Harbinger of Storms on the field, your opponent has to discard another card or send a monster from their side of the field to the graveyard, which is really nasty. So you could turn those stupid effects like Called by the Grave or just stuff that they're chaining into just draw a card. They activate Called by the Grave in response. You just say, oh, draw a card. So yep, Generator Boss Room, pretty good protection. Moving on to the extra deck. So in the extra deck, I play True King of all calamities. This is your pretty much level 9 monster that you're going to go into every single time with World Legacy Monstrosity. This card, if it gets hit, which I'm sure it will, would suck, but right now it's just so good. You summon it, and by the way, if you summon this guy with World Legacy Monstrosity, you want to summon him in the extra monster zone, so you can get as many Generator tokens on the board as possible. Because you're not going to be doing a lot of link summoning in this deck. You can link summon, and I do have links in the extra deck, but most of the time you're going to be sticking to these Xyz plays. So once per turn during either player's turn, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, declare an attribute this turn, all face-up monsters on the field become that attribute. Also, all monsters your opponent controls with that attribute cannot activate their effects or attack. So, get this. Imagine you're going turn 1, and you activate Drag Down into the Grave, right? And you have the boss stage, and you summon out another boss monster. You just saw what they have in their hand. So if you had no idea what you were playing against, let's say you're playing against dark monsters, you could just be like, oh, okay, I know I'm playing against dark monsters now, so when I go into True King of all calamities, I can just say dark. So yeah, that's why I like to run Drag Down to the Grave. You can get a little idea of what your opponent is playing, and also it works with True King of all calamities. It's pretty nasty. I've done it to so many people. It's really good. Also, you could probably swap Drag Down into the Grave with Exchange if you really wanted to. That's just a thought, but it's up to you. Personal preference. So, 2 True King of all calamities. I just run them at 2 because the extra deck has a lot of room. Also, because this extra deck has a lot of room and you don't really extra deck summon all the time, you could probably play Extravagance if you have it. I don't personally have Extravagance, so that's up to you. Anyways, next up I play 1 Jormungandr, Generator Boss of Eternity. You can only control 1 of him. He gains 1,000 attack for each material. He has a quick effect where he detaches a material and he causes each player to draw a card, and then each player attaches 1 card from their hand or field onto him. So he can get up to a pretty big numbers. The only problem with this guy is that he has no protection, which is a little upsetting, but if they bring protection in the future for generators that is like blanket, he might become really good. So I would say just run 1 of him. You'll go into him every once in a while. He's pretty niche. Also, if you have Harr, Harbinger of Storms on the field, as you can see, Harr, Harbinger of Storms has a lot of really stupid combos in this deck. He can make Harr, Harbinger of Storms instantly trigger, and your opponent has to send 2 cards from the hand or 2 cards from the field, which is pretty dumb. All right, on to the next one. So I play 9 Lives Cat. I play this one at 2 just because it's kind of like Hela, where if your opponent can't target other monsters you control that were special summoned from the graveyard. So if you have Hela and this thing on the field, like your opponent just can't target monsters you're summoning. And then you could detach a material from this card and target a level 9 monster in your graveyard and 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it. You can only use the effect of 9 Lives Cat once per turn. So he's pretty good. You just summon those pretty nasty generator boss monsters from the graveyard, and then your opponent can't target them, which sucks for the opponent, but is really good for you. Anyways, moving on, I play 1 Infinitrack Earth Slicer. So Infinitrack Earth Slicer has pretty good effect too, where he detaches any number of materials from him and then target that many cards on the field and destroy them. So if you got some like traps or spells that are on the opponent's side of the field that are kind of hard to get rid of, you can just get rid of them with Infinitrack Earth Slicer, or a monster, you can just get rid of them. And then he has a 3100 beat stick, so you can hit. And what's cool about Infinitrack Earth Slicer, and this is what I really like about Infinitracks, is when you kill a monster with Infinitrack Earth Slicer by battle, you get to immediately put the monster underneath him as a material, which is pretty awesome. So they don't go to the graveyard. That's a pretty cool effect. But yeah, Infinitrack Earth Slicer at 1, really good card. And last but not least, for the Xyz material monster, or the Xyz monsters, you run 1 Phantom Fortress, enter Blathnir. So once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this guy and then activate 1 of the effects. He has a banish. He has a banish from the hand. He has a banish from your graveyard. He has a banish from the top of the deck. So he just banishes. So yeah, like I said, it's hard to get cards from the banish sometimes. So this guy is really good. Next up, for the extra deck, we have 1 Barricade Borg Blocker. So this guy, when he's link summoned, you can discard a card, and during the end phase, you can get a continuous spell or a field spell from your graveyard and add it to your hand. So if you're in the roughest situation possible and you just need that boss stage and you have nothing left, and that could win you the game if you have the boss stage, this guy can get you the boss stage if you have 2 monsters. You won't really summon him all the time. It's just like in the extra deck to be in the extra deck. Next up, I play 1 Borreload. So Borreload is Borreload. Let's be honest, this card's really good. He can just attack and take monsters on the field. He has a quick effect that says your opponent's monster loses 500 attack and defense, and then they can't activate card effects in response to it. So he's pretty nasty. Then I play an entire Knightmare package, which is Knightmare Phoenix, Knightmare Cerberus, Knightmare Unicorn. So Knightmare Cerberus destroys a card on the field, monster on the field. Phoenix destroys a spell and trap card, and Unicorn spins a card. So they're all pretty good. They're just there because they're pretty generic and you can summon them out easily. Next up, I play 1 Lieb, World Keyblade Master. So with Girsu, this card becomes extremely good in this deck, but because I don't have Girsu, I Girsu the Orcust Mech Knight. So yeah, if you were wondering what Girsu I'm talking about, the main deck one. You just play her. So she's good later on in the game when like you have maybe a World Legacy Monstrosity in the graveyard. You just take her, summon her, and then you can set a World Legacy Monstrosity like straight to the field, which is pretty cool because then you get to make plays. Then I play 1 Boral Sword, which all these cards are interchangeable, all the Link monsters. It doesn't really matter what you play in the Link section unless you're really trying to like set up like a linking generator deck, which is weird, but I can see it work. Boral Sword, he's pretty good. He pretty much does the same thing as Borreload, except he is more for battling, so he can quick effect turn a monster to defense mode, and then he gets like half of their attack and he can attack twice. So yeah, and then he can't be destroyed by battle. And then last but certainly not least, Access Code Talker. So just in case if it comes down to that, like the wire where I need to get cards off of the field and I need my opponent to not be able to respond to it, and I have some links in the graveyard as fodder, you can go into the Access Code Talker and just, you know, win the game. So yeah, that's why I play the Access Code Talker. But that's going to be it. That's going to be it for the main deck and the extra deck. I will go into a little combo section next, and so we can show you guys what's up with the deck, what kind of combos it can pull off. So I'll see you there. Alright guys, welcome back to the combo section of the video. This is going to be a 2-card combo revolving around Loptr and World Legacy Monstrosity, and then any 3 cards in hand. I enlisted the help of my good friend Enrique to place the cards on the playmat while I hold the camera and talk about the cards. So let's get right into it. So first off, you're going to start off by summoning Loptr, Shadow the Generator bosses. Then you're going to be tributing off Loptr for his effect and summoning Harr, Harbinger of Storms from the deck. Next, you will activate the World Legacy Monstrosity from your hand and then target Harr and summon 2 monsters from the deck that are different attribute and type. That'll be Mardel and Trias Hierarchia. Then Mardel will activate her effect, getting you the Generator boss stage, and you will activate that Generator boss stage. Next, you will be Xyz summoning into True King of All Calamities with the Mardel and the Trias Hierarchia. Then you will pass the turn to your opponent's turn. So now your opponent draws and your Generator boss stage activates. This will allow you to summon Hela, Generator Boss of Doom, from your deck, and then summon 3 tokens. So then you will activate Hela, Generator Boss of Doom's effect to tribute off a token, summoning that Loptr from the graveyard. Now all your Generator boss monsters get 1,000 attack and defense. Then you will activate Loptr's effect, tributing off a token, and then summoning Nidhogg to the field from the deck. So now this is the ending board that you get from this 2-card combo. You have True King of All Calamities, who can blanket negate the board. You have Nidhogg, who can negate a summon. You have Harr, Harbinger of Storms, who can negate a card and then make your opponent send a card or from the field, a monster card from the field or hand to the graveyard. And then you have Hela, who can summon a monster from the graveyard. So yeah, this is a pretty scary board. What do you think, Enrique? What do you think of this combo?
I quit. I don't like it.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty nasty board, especially with Loptr giving all of them 1,000 attack, except True King, but it's still pretty nasty. So we're going to move into another combo with this deck, and we'll be right back with that combo. Alright guys, welcome back to the second combo in the combo section of the video. This is going to be a going first combo involving pretty much the dream hand for generators. It's going to be a 4-card combo involving Loptr, World Legacy, Monstrosity, Generator boss stage, and Drag Down into the Grave. So let's get right into that combo. Alright, so starting off the combo, you're going to summon Loptr, Shadow the Generator bosses. Then you're going to activate your Generator boss stage. Next, you will be activating Loptr's effect to send him to the graveyard to summon Harr, Harbinger of Storms from the deck. Then you will be activating the World Legacy Monstrosity from the hand, targeting Harr, summoning 2 monsters with different attribute than Harr from the deck. So you will summon Mardel and Trias Hierarchia. Then you will activate Mardel's effect, adding the Generator boss room to your hand and setting it face down on the field. Next, you will activate your Drag Down into the Grave, discarding the card that is revealed in your hand and looking at your opponent's hand and sending a Nibiru or possibly any hand traps. So then you will each both draw a card, triggering your Generator boss stage again, and also triggering Harr's effect. So the boss stage will resolve, summoning Frodi. Then you will trigger Harr's effect, which will discard a monster from your opponent's hand. Next, you will XZ summon Mardel and Trias Hierarchia to summon True King of all Calamities in the extra monster zone. Then you will XZ summon Frodi and Harr to summon your Jormungandr Generator Boss of Eternity. Next, you will activate Jormungandr's effect, discarding one of the materials underneath him, either one, to the graveyard, and then attaching a material that you drew from your hand and one in your opponent's hand that they drew. Then you will pass the turn, and your opponent will take their turn. Now, your opponent has taken their turn, and they get to draw a card. This will activate your Generator boss stage, summoning Hela, Generator Boss of Doom, from the deck. Alright, so now, if your opponent happened to draw into a hand trap, you have the Generator boss room to respond to anything that they respond with. So you activate Hela's effect to tribute off the token. You will summon Loptr from the graveyard. Then Loptr can activate his effect, tributing off another token to summon Harr, Harbinger of Storms, from the deck. This is a pretty nasty board, but it gets even worse. So now you activate Jormungandr's effect again. You'll take a material off of him, and then you each draw a card. So now that you've each drawn a card, you have to attach a card from your hand or your side of the field to Jormungandr. But that's not even the end of it. Harr's effect will trigger since your opponent added a card from deck to hand, and your opponent must discard a monster card from their hand. So now your opponent has lost 2 cards from their hand from Harr's effect, one from the previous turn and one from this turn. So now they're at 4 cards in hand going second. Then you could activate True King of all Calamities effect to blanket negate your opponent's board if anything happens. So now you end the board on a Generator boss monster with 5,000 attack, aka Jormungandr, a Generator boss monster with 4,000 attack, aka Harr, who can negate any card. Then you have Loptr, who is at 2,500 attack, Hela, who is at 3,800 defense, and True King of all Calamities, who is at 3,000 attack. Also, you have a nice little negate down here if they respond to any of your Generator boss monsters' effects. So, yeah, this is a pretty nasty board. What do you think of this one, Enrique?
It's even worse than the other one somehow.
Yeah, it rips cards out of your opponent's hand, which is, I like. I kind of came up with this one myself with the help of a friend. So, yeah, it's pretty awesome. I like it a lot, and hopefully you could use it in a duel if you draw this god to your hand. So, anyways, I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe if you made it this far. And I'll see you in the next video.